Hey everybody, Rick Bassman here for Talking Tough live on Facebook Live. Man, I just realized I'm starting to sound like one of those announcery guys, and that's not my style. So I'm going to go back to conversation here. I've got two longtime good friends and two pro wrestling superstars. They're waiting in the green room, we call it, here in Technology Land, and yeah, everyone knows who's on today. It's Gabe Tuft, who people know as Gabe Tuft from Body Spartan, of course. But they also know him as Tyler Reks. He'll be with us in a couple of minutes. As well, another longtime good friend, the Masterpiece, Chris Masters. I'm really psyched to have these guys on together today. I always have to talk about my dogs before I start for a whole bunch of reasons. You guys know that. For those who follow the Talking Tough show or any of my social platforms, all like 3 or 4 of you out there. You guys know that I'm in mourning still over the passing of my dog Ramon, but we're all doing well up here in the wilds of Maui. A couple of reasons I mention them is they suddenly will start barking right in the middle of a podcast. So if you hear a big explosion of barking, I apologize in advance. Nothing I can do about that. We're in Hawaii. Everybody is late, and on island time, we call it. The gardener was supposed to be here at 1 o'clock today. It's 3 o'clock here now. And it means he'll probably show up right in the middle of the podcast. So we're guaranteed some noise. Also, chance for me to plug 2 things. www.bullydogrescue.com. That is our nonprofit for pit bull rescue. We are supporting and raising money for 4 amazing women who dedicate their lives to saving these breeds. So check us out, please, www.bullydogrescue.com. And for trivial purposes, one of the ladies is my longtime good friend and partner in California, Linda Blair, who played the possessed girl, Reagan, in The Exorcist. She's now full-time in pit bull rescue. Lastly, as my esteemed producer, John Pozorowski of Two Man Power Trip knows, John is on the line with us as well. John, are you there? Are you listening in?
I am here, yes.
Hey, man. How you doing today, John? Everything good in New York?
Yes, everything is good.
Good,
Can't complain.
excellent.
Yep.
So John knows we have our first sponsor, so I'm pretty excited about that. We have an amazing sponsor who makes CBD for dogs, and I've got my 3 babies, Gogo and Eos and Dennis, on it now religiously because after what happened with Ramon, I'm going to do everything I can humanly possible to make sure that my dogs are taken care of for the rest of their lives. So I was really, really happy to have a sponsor, first of all, any sponsor, but especially this. They're called Botanic Balance, and you can see them at botanicbalance.com. All right, John. Officially turned into a podcast pimp. I don't mean that like I'm a pimp. I mean, I'm pimping product, which I didn't think we would do, but we have to do that. It's done. So now we get on to the good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, without further delay, without having listened to just me go on and on about nothing, my long-time good friends, the Masterpiece, Chris Masters, and Gabe Tuft, Tyler Reks. Hey, guys.
What's up, man?
What's up?
Wow. I'm amazed when this technology works. Gabe, I know that you're like a techno master, so this has got to be like kind of beginning level stuff for you, huh?
I don't know, dude. This is pretty high tech. I usually have like one person on at a time. So, we're doing a 3-way dance tonight. And I don't know, man. It's above my pay grade for sure.
Oh, well, you're being unduly humble. I know that, but because I've been to your house. I've been to your house. You put me up in your house when I was homeless. Me and my 3 pit bulls. I've been to your house, and I know how high tech you are. So you're being humble. How about you, Chris? Are you up on tech, Chris?
I love technology, but I know literally nothing about it. I mean, I know just enough to operate my social media, open my emails, but I mean, I have to have my girlfriend help me out with half.
Yeah, I thought you'd be. I mean, you're in
the middle of the show. You guys there?
Oh yeah, there you are. We lost you. Yes, we got you.
Shit, I lost everybody.
No, we can.
Come on, peace.
Chris, are you there? You're back.
I'm up on social. I'm up on technology, but I'm out.
Chris, we see you. Yes, you're back.
Hello.
You're back. Yes, we got you.
You can hear me?
Yeah,
yes,
got you.
And we can. And we
I'm
can
gonna call
see
back.
you. All right, please, yeah, we got you, but do it quickly. Okay, Gabe.
You and me, bud.
This happens at the beginning.
Oh, there you are. There you are.
Perfect.
There you go. Can you
Chris,
hear me?
yes. And I was about to put you over. That ship has sailed now. And I was going to say, like, I assume that you'd be great at social because you're so young. You're still like 17 and a half, aren't you? Because you'll always be like 17
Oh,
and a
yeah.
half. All right, cool.
I know. I could see that too because we met right around that time too. And yeah, like I feel like I've been 19 for 30 years.
Yeah, he's the man that doesn't age, dude.
Hey, Chris, you don't look a day over 71, man. You're looking good, man. I think you're doing great. No, you look good. You guys both look good, better than me, that's for sure. But that's not saying much. So yeah, so Gabe, you mentioned three-way dance, and that's kind of like for lack of a better word, a new gimmick that I'm doing. I started this Talking Tough podcast a couple months ago. It's going really well. We've had some crazy out there guests on this, like child soldiers from the Sudan and Holocaust survivors, and but it keeps coming back to pro wrestling. How can it not, right? And we kind of like stumbled across a 3-person deal testing the StreamYard thing out. Like, wow, let's just do this as a theme. So you guys are the second ever edition of Three-Way Dance, and I really appreciate you guys being on. And because we mentioned pro wrestling and because you guys are so well known in that field, we're going to have to talk some pro wrestling. I'd really rather get into personal stuff, and I think you guys would be open to that. But
sure.
Probably going to talk some pro wrestling. So I got a question for you both right off of the bat. If WWE, whoever it might be, Canyon Ceman, Mark Carrano, Hunter, called you tomorrow with an offer, would you go back?
Nah, no way, dude.
All right.
That's a hard pass.
Yeah. Chris?
I would have probably said the same thing, but after living the last 2 months during this pandemic and not working, I might be desperate enough to go back. So, I always kind of say never when it comes to that. Like, it's not a goal of mine. I'm not looking to come back, but when you lay it out like that, if I'm going to get a phone call from them and they pursue it, that's a kind of another story.
Well, you know what the formula then for getting your job back would be, right? On this podcast today, bury them as much as humanly possible. I mean, just fuck them over, and that's definitely be your best chance. Man, it's amazing.
Yep.
It's like I got to tell you guys, I have a couple deals working with WWE, and because of that, it's like I want to watch how. I mean, for the most part, I do like them. I've had good and bad with them, plenty of bad, but mostly good. I always want to take care of them on this show, but at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter, does it?
No. Don't get me started. I mean, or you want me to get started? No,
you go ahead, please. I've been talking too much. Take over.
As much as I always want to preface stuff like this with I learned a lot. I don't regret the experience. I learned a lot, and I'm who I am today because of that experience. But when you look at the logistics of how the company runs, I mean, it's a major corporation. Like, you and me watch this whole thing go down where like people are like cattle, man. They churn through you. It's a business. You're a product, and when the product's time is, when you go cold, it's like next. So it's just how it is, man. It's big business.
And if you're hot, if you're not with a company but you're hot, it doesn't really matter what you say about them, does it? You'll always have a job back.
Right. Exactly.
Chris, would you agree with that?
It's so quiet.
Yeah,
you've been in and out, man.
I think there's no such thing as burning bridges in pro wrestling. You know what I mean? Like, there might be a few, but I mean, Rick, you knew the Ultimate Warrior. I mean, I think you practically broke him in as well, or had some kind of hand in that. And you would have thought the Ultimate Warrior burned the bridges many a times. But what it just comes down to, just like Gabe said, is it's a big corporation, and Vince is always looking to do what's good for business, regardless of what his personal feelings are for anybody. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, you can't be mad at him, man. It's like he's making a living, he's building his company, and being a business owner myself, I get it, dude. Like, I think the hardest part of being a business owner in the beginning is learning that you have to hire and fire people that you know and that you become friends with. And I think over the years, Vince has obviously learned to distance himself from the people that he hires. And that's why it becomes a product and, there's no emotional attachment. And that is just business. And you can't be mad at him for it. Like I said.
No, I agree. And, that something you're both saying makes me think of the following. So you both mentioned this is a big company, right? You both said that. And then you both talk about Vince. It never ceases to blow me away that there's a big publicly traded company that, with all due respect, and I do mean it sincerely to Triple H and the rest of the people running the company, we always talk about Vince like it's one guy doing everything. Well, why do you think people are so endlessly fascinated with Vince McMahon?
Gabe?
Why do you think? I'm sorry, but it broke up. Why do we think they're fascinated with Vince?
Yeah, it's a big company, but you did it, Chris did it, I do it. We always talk about Vince. Why the fascination with this 70-year-old man?
I mean, what other? Am I breaking up? Or am I still good, guys?
You're still all right. Okay. I don't know.
I got a buzz coming through.
It's a little scratchy.
Let me see here. So my opinion is, like, you look at CEOs, like, what other CEOs, make themselves part of the show? What other CEOs are a character in their business? Like, when you talk about Tesla, I mean, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Elon Musk, right?
Elon Musk, of course, right.
But
Masterpiece is thinking about the Christian rock band, but go ahead.
Of course you are.
I was just gonna say, when it comes to Vince, what it really comes down to is the buck stops with Vince on every decision. Every decision is filtered through Vince, so it's natural that Vince always comes to mind, because whether it's hiring somebody, whether it's an angle, a storyline, or it's usually always got to go through Vince or be filtered through him. So that's why Vince is always brought up. He's the mastermind. He's the god of professional wrestling, essentially. That's what he is.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what else I think? Go on, Gabe. Sorry.
Talk to all the producers backstage, and, like, you recognize that no matter what they say or do, but no matter what they pitch, Masters, you and I went through this a lot too. Like, we would have stuff that we would pitch, and they put it in the production meeting, or things would be scheduled. And, we always heard that there was this big production meeting and the writers would write whatever they wanted to do, but none of it mattered. They'd go in there and Vince would literally rewrite the show, in the production meeting every week, because that's what he wanted. So, he can say one thing the week before and it didn't matter. Only thing that matters is what he says that week. And that's just, It's like Master said, it's like literally the buck stops with him. So it doesn't matter what you think, when anybody below him thinks, like, you have no say whatsoever. It's his decision, and he's literally God. Like, you nailed it, dude. Like, he's literally God in that world.
Yep. And I think another part of it, and I didn't even occur to me till right now, people often would ask me, what do you look for in a talent? And then you talk about that like undefinable it factor, which so few people born on this planet ever have. Vince actually might have that himself, and I think that's part of what makes the guy so compelling. So now that we've all put him over, but we've also established neither of you guys are dying to run back to WWE. You guys mind sharing a bizarre or out there or entertaining Vince story?
I don't know, Beast. What do you got, dude?
You know what I just thought about? It wasn't necessarily a Vince story. I mean, the best times I saw Vince were when we headed over to the Tribute to the Troop shows, because Vince would go absolutely insane on those plane rides. He would start drinking and he would start instigating fights on the plane. And then I even remember when we stopped in Germany, everybody was drunk and singing karaoke, and we were waiting for our jet to refuel, and the sergeant, or I don't know what his position was, but he comes in telling us we're ready to leave, the jet's fueled, let's go, we got to go, we're on a schedule. And Vince is just not having it. He starts cursing and talking about how he'll fly his personal jet over there, and it was always just really wild, man. It was always really wild. I mean, he instigated, he was trying to get CM Punk to drink on one of the flights. He got CM Punk also to shoot wrestling matches on the plane with Shelton Benjamin, and then even Carlito. So those were just the wildest times I've ever seen Vince, was those plane rides. That's it.
That's awesome. Who would win in a fight, Vince McMahon or CM Punk?
Oh, come
Oh,
on, kid.
yeah, I think
I'm being stupid now. All right, I'm kidding around, guys. I'm goofing around. But so you guys both came into this business in like incredibly different manners. And, Chris, I remember you showing up to my school one day, and I'm like, who's the young fat kid? I'm sorry, man. I had to say it, And Gabe, I don't know if you know this. Do you know what Chris looked like before he looked like the masterpiece? Are you familiar with this?
No.
Chris was a big fat kid. Am I misspeaking, Chris? I want to know, man.
No, but I have to just add to that. Like, okay, so yeah, when I went to see Rick, I was about 16 years old, and I was a really skinny kid growing up. No joke. So I just started eating. Like, somebody told me the key to getting big is you got to eat a lot. And I really took that to heart, and I started eating like crazy, and I was working out. And eventually I got to 300 pounds, and that was right around the time Rick saw me. And I was just completely out of shape, but I was trying to, like bulk up. I was taking in a ton of calories. So, but it got out of control. By the time I got to Rick, I had a tire around my waist, and my face was out to here. It was terrible. What is that scratching noise?
Yeah, we have a weird scratch. John, our amazing producer's on the line. John, what is that scratching noise? Do you have any idea?
I have no idea, Rick. Maybe you're chewing on some celery or something. I'm not sure.
No, man. Now you're going to help them get revenge on me. No, there's nothing going on my end here, and I'm on my headphones. I don't know. We're going to have to
just kind of like reload the page real quick and log back in. I wonder if it's one of our connections.
And it just went away. Almost. It's back. John, what do you think? Do we stay with it? John, what do you suggest? You're the man. You're the man here.
It seemed like it went away for a second, then it just came back now.
Okay, man, you're calling this spot on the fly. What are we gonna do?
I think it's okay. It seems like it's going away.
We can power through it. It's just
Let's do it.
It's a bit distracting.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. It is attractive, but let's power through. So Chris, another thing I remember about when you started, you came in like we had hundreds of people, if not thousands, coming through our school at that point, or 1,000 eventually. I don't want to get into pro wrestling exaggeration. We had hundreds of people, and you were a young kid that was willing to pay the tuition, who didn't look like he was going to kill himself or kill anybody else. So I'm like, sure, why not? And then you disappeared, and you came back however many months later, and I'm like, holy fuck, what happened to this guy? Holy shit. You walked through the door looking like the masterpiece. And I remember, Chris, you always had a really good attitude. You were green as the hills are, the hills are tall or long or whatever they are. You always had a good attitude. You really, really wanted to be in the business stuff. Is that right from day one?
What was your question? I wanted to be a wrestler?
You wanted to be a pro wrestler. Oh, from day one.
Oh, yeah. I loved it since I was like this tall, man. I was like, since I was probably 8 years old, I was obsessed with it. And it was my dream. And it was, I think before I met you, I was actually backyard wrestling. My mom reminded me of this. And she was so adamant about getting me out of, because she saw a video of what we were doing, and we were taking bad spills at the park on the hard grass floor, and it was freaking her out when she saw it. So she I don't know how we found out about you, but as soon as we did, she was like, "Oh, I'm going to enroll you in wrestling school if you're going to be doing that, because you're going to kill yourself." But it was my dream. It was my dream. I mean, it was all I ever wanted to do. I mean, and it's still kind of the only thing I enjoy doing, which is crazy at this point. But all of that, man, was like really cool. Like all those memories of when I entered UPW were really cool memories.
Yeah, they were good times. Gabe, I'm sorry that UPW was in the state it was in when you joined us. We weren't doing the shows and whatnot. I would have loved to have you around like during the height of UPW. You would have been an awesome part of that mix with your attitude and your personality. You came in later. And you're the opposite of Chris, right? You never really thought about pro wrestling, did you?
I'm so sorry, man. That scratching was so loud I couldn't hear you at all. Can you try that again?
Yeah, I don't know what that is. How are we doing now?
It's still pretty bad, man.
It's pretty bad.
I just lost what you said.
I am wondering if we should do what Chris suggested. And John, how much heavy lifting do we have to disconnect us and start all over again?
We could easily do that. Yeah, that's no problem.
Should we just have Chris and Gabe log off and log back on, or should we regenerate the entire setup?
No, we can remove them and they can come back in.
You guys want to do that? Try that real quickly.
And then
Okay.
we'll log back in.
All right. Well, John, it is really distracting for sure. And we have
we know it's not you, Rick. I mean, you sound perfect, so we know it's not you with the scratching.
Good. We have a lot of people watching too, so we want to make sure that Pete Doyle is watching. Our old head writer, the evil Pete Doyle. Hey, Pete. Pete and I had a match against each other, John, on our 5th anniversary show, and we were both like such not workers that we basically just beat the shit out of each other. And Pete, absolutely one of my favorite memories in pro wrestling was whacking over the head with a metal clipboard. So I'm glad you're watching today. Hey, Pete.
Oh, worse.
Yeah, it is not good. Now, we did eliminate me and John because when you guys were gone, we were crystal clear.
Oh my gosh, what is going on?
I don't
Dave,
know.
can you hear me?
All right, I'm going to make a suggestion.
Oh my gosh.
Let me make a suggestion.
We
Gabe,
might have to reschedule.
hold on. Gabe, could you try to log back on from a different device?
Rick, we can't hear you.
Yeah.
Gabe,
I can't
Gabe,
hear Rick.
Let me bail. I'll be right back.
Yeah, he's going to log on from a different device. Thank you. Chris? Uh-oh. All right. Guys, man, this is a good one we have set up, and I'm sorry it's not working. Please hang with us. Gabe is coming back. Chris is coming back. And who do we have and who don't we have?
I'm here.
Okay, perfect. Nice and clear. How are we doing from your side, Chris?
Sounds fine right now. I don't. Still some scratching. What is that? It sounds better, but there's still some scratching.
There's a little bit. Okay, we're gonna see what happens when Gabe comes on. We've got we have a good group on. Jonathan Meisner's on. He's probably gonna hate me for announcing him. Jonathan is Dave Batista's partner and manager and executive producer. Hey, Jonathan, hope you're doing well. It's always fun to recognize who's on with us. Here's Gabe. Hopefully we got him back. And now we'll know where it's coming from.
I said it's Gabe. It's coming from Gabe.
I think it has
Rick,
been. Yes, Chris.
Rick, did you know that? Did you know that Gabe and me traveled together for quite some time on the road?
No, you know what's funny, Chris? I have to admit that John, our producer, smartened me up to that just yesterday because I don't follow the product that closely, and I did not even know that you and Gabe knew each other until I saw that you guys have had like 2,000 matches together. I had no idea.
Did you know? Oh yeah. Did you know that Gabe? Hey, Gabe. Traveled together for quite some time on the road.
No, you know what's funny, Chris? I have to admit that John, our producer, it's Gabe. Gabe, it's you, man. You are the heel here, Gabe. Absolutely. We're now.
Okay, how's that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, we're cool.
All right.
Jesus.
You sound a little Darth Vader-ish, but we'll take it.
Come on, really?
No, we'll take it.
Dude, I've never had any of these problems, dude.
You're a high tech wizard. I know that.
Bro, I do Facebook Lives all the time. I live stream workouts. Like, I've never had any of these issues, dude.
Now we're perfect. Now
okay,
we're good.
cool.
All right. Yeah, so I know you guys traveled together. I didn't know that till recently. I was telling Chris, Gabe, until yesterday, I didn't think you guys knew each other. And
really?
I honestly, God, did not know that. My brain sometimes disconnects things that would appear to be logical.
Dude, we rode together forever, dude. Like,
yeah, I know that. Wow, you guys like showering together and stuff like that?
I mean, we would do the tan thing, dude. Like, somebody's got to spray your back, bro.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
You would, Rick. You would not believe the shower after Tyler Reks with tan used a self tanner. It would be a disaster, bro. It'd be like
a murder.
It'd be like a tanning. It'd be like a tanning bum tanning atomic bomb went off in the bathroom, dude. Literally, no white left on the shower.
Nothing,
Oh,
dude.
that shit was insane.
Nothing.
That's fantastic, man. Your credit card getting dinged for cleanup?
Not once, dude. I don't know how like the maids didn't freak out, but like never once did we get dinged. It was we were pretty lucky. Like Masters was always like lighting up. You were like smoking spice because like weed was banned, so he's like smoking spice in the rooms, in the cars, and I'm like, we're gonna get nailed for this. Never once got nailed for it, ever, dude. Not once, dude.
That's awesome. Okay, I've got a
Because it's incense.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. Yeah, you had tricks, bro. You had like all sorts of tricks.
He started before you, Gabe. That's
apparently. I mean, he's the vet, man.
I've got a pro wrestling question for you that I want to ask. One thing Chris knows about me for sure, I'm a big battle royal mark. Chris, you know that because we used to do these big 22-man battle royals at UPW, kind of in honor of the LA 22-man battle royal. And poor Chris, I think of poor Chris, would almost always be the guy that got put over in these battle royals. And I say that because you got to be in there till the end, and we know it's really not a lot of fun. But here I do know now because I watched some video last night that you guys were like in these monster giant battle royals. What's it like when you've like, because neither one of you guys did the long road on the indies to the big show. You both kind of went right in. So can you describe what it's like starting at the beginning and then one day you look around and you're in there with like 20 WWE superstars at the same time? Is that an interesting experience or just another day at the office?
I mean, I thought it was pretty interesting, dude. Like I went from, FCW where we just had a bunch of, everybody's just goofing around to, oh, hey, look, dude, I'm in the ring there's Kane and there's Goldust and, there's all these other dudes. And it was like, okay, cool, there's Cody, oh, hey, there's Peace. There's MVP. I was like, this is pretty cool. Chavo was in there with a bunch of them. Like, it got to be really fun. Like the tours, bro. You remember the tours, the Euro tours we do? Like, remember when you had your beanie stolen, dude?
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
That was
in a battle royal.
Yeah, when everybody like pulled out the beanies like to rib you. Like, he's still mad.
Oh my God.
He's still mad about it, dude.
Wait, Chris, can you give some context to that story? I don't know this one. What happened?
Oh, MVP was mad because we were wrestling and I took his headband and I think I threw it off his head, but it went into the crowd. Was it his headband? Yeah, it was.
I think so. He was just super hot over it.
All right.
Yeah, and he was real mad about it, and I tried to convince him that it wasn't on purpose, even though I don't.
And Chris is gone. Oh, no. All right.
We're trying, Rick. We really are.
Oh, man. Folks out there listening, man, I'm so sorry about this. Just stick with us. We're going to muddle our way through it.
Are you back?
Chris is practicing pantomime now.
Dude, Chris, whenever you get sound, just jump in, dude. But yeah, so basically, like, P stayed hot. And Chris had this beanie that he brought, and I think your girl giving it to you or something. It was like... he liked the beanie and like P stole it, dude. Like it was like trying to get back at him, but it became this big thing, dude. Like he was telling everybody like all this thing. Everybody talks shit backstage, so P's just talking shit. And Peace is getting hot, dude. Like he's like, "Where's my beanie? I know you stole it." Like he's getting hotter and hotter and hotter, and we go through the whole tour, right? And like it's the point where like on the bus in between tour stops. Like Peace is sitting by himself, dude, and he's not talking to nobody. Like he's so mad, dude.
Because of the beanie. All right.
Well, it was a very sentimental beanie, if I remember right, buddy? I mean, like that's
apparently so.
Yeah, he was super attached to it, and it was just. I mean, it was kind of a dick move, but like not P doing or not Masterpiece stealing MVP's headband, but like the beanie thing. I'm like that's kind of a dick move, but whatever. Yeah, just a rib. But he was just getting hot, dude, and so like everybody kept playing into that, and then the last show, the last night, we're just all into this feud, and we got the battle royal, and we were all told, Cody goes around, he's like, hey. Gonna rib Masterpiece tonight. I'm like, okay, well, what's the deal? Dude, he's like, you got a beanie? Like, well, bring it, and then stuff it in your trunks, and then when the battle royal starts, we're all gonna put them on. Like, okay, let's do it, man. So we all go out, and the bell rings, and Master's just like, all right, let's go, and nobody's moving. He's like, what the fuck? what's going on, dude? What's going on? And everybody just slowly pulls beanies out of their pockets. And Peace, dude, he's just like, you assholes. Starts dishing out clotheslines like left and right that were the stiffest thing I'd ever felt.
Oh, that's fantastic. I did not know. That's a good story. I did not know that one. I did not.
We also hogtied Swoggle on that tour as well.
Oh God! Why would you pick on the midget?
I don't know.
Why would you pick on the midget?
Like Meat Chavo and Drew ran out after his match. I don't remember who had a match with, but Meat Chavo and Drew ran out there. We drug him out of the ring, and we literally hogtied him on the floor and left him there for the rest of the show.
I'm not happy about this, man.
Yeah,
I do not like when people pick on midgets. I'm not cool with that. All right, that's cool. I love it. Good for Hornswoggle.
Right.
Sure, he's a nice guy. I don't know him. Man. All right. So Gabe, the Battle Royal story with the beanie, I love that. They just told. I'm guessing that story's probably been told and been heard before.
Probably.
All right, cool. I haven't heard it. I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Chris walked away. There's his nice backdrop from where he lives.
It's like I'm out, guys.
All right. Hopefully there he is. Guys, so, if all you have to do is search the good old internet for the both of you, and you do get a lot of behind the scenes stuff. Gabe, the stuff about, you and Cena and the Burning Hammer, and I don't want to spend like one iota of a second on John Cena on this call if we can avoid it. I didn't think that would upset you too much.
No, that's fine. We can put a password over that.
We can, or we can bury Cena too. I don't really care.
I did the same thing yesterday on another podcast. Like, I don't really want to talk about it, but you want me to? He's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, here we go.
Dude, that happens in every interview I do. I have to talk about Cena and the Ultimate Warrior, and I'm like, I don't want to do this, and then you get into it, right? But what I was going to say was, people that are fans know about, you and Cena, the Burning Hammer. Chris, they know about you and the deal with Hunter and Sean and the joke that I thought was in horrible taste about your weight loss and all that. Guys, what's it like when – that's a two-part question. So we know those stories. I want to see if there's a story people don't know that you guys would be willing to share, something sensitive perhaps, and if not, that's cool.
There it is.
But I also want to know, what's it like when because I know both you guys, you're both good guys, and you both have good intentions, and I know that, and you both conduct yourselves as gentlemen. I know that about both you guys. What's it like when you're in that environment and you rely on that for your livelihood, and then somebody in a position of power purposefully just is being addicted to you to the point it could hurt your livelihood? What does that feel like? What do you do in a case like that?
Peace, you got audio yet, dude?
No audio.
Nothing, dude.
Nothing.
Just log in and log back out, bro. Like, refresh to see if it works. I'll pick up the question while he's logging in and out. It sucks, man. It's like, it really tests your integrity. It tests who you are, and so no person, let alone a man, wants to be told what to do or that they did something wrong. Like, we're our own person. Like, and to have somebody in power just like wag their finger at you, just like, you suck, you're this, you're that, you did this wrong. It's like, dude, I'm a grown man. Like, you can't talk to me that way. I want money to feed my family, but I didn't sign up for this shit. So it really dings the self-confidence. But only if it lets you. And I gotta make sure I say that. I really believe that every person is a product of the decisions that we make, and we allow ourselves to feel certain ways. And I believe we're in control of that. And it's taken a lot of life lessons to get there. So, looking back, I could have made different decisions. I had the freedom to walk out. I had the freedom to say something and, tell Cena to shove it at the time, or sell whoever it was that was, yeah, we got you now, Peace. There you go. But I didn't, because I was scared and I was nervous, and, I just didn't know how to react to that. I'd never been treated that way. So I think in a way, it just depends how you deal with it. But it sucks. In general, it sucks. But overall, I think if you can handle it, it makes you a better person, and you learn how to stand up for yourself.
Well, as your, I'm sure as your lovely wife, Priscilla, your beautiful wife and my good friend would tell us, there's a book called The 4 Agreements. And one of the 4 agreements, as you know, Gabe, because I know you're a student of this realm as well, says don't take things personally.
Yep.
And I get that, and it's nice to read that, and it's nice to aspire to it.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes. And it's nice
Yep.
when you can
Can you hear me?
practice it, but day to day, it may not be so easy. Chris, we have you. How are you,
Thank
man?
God.
Are you back? Are you back?
I thought you guys could hear me that whole time. That was so funny. You're like, oh, we can't hear you.
Yeah,
I'm
couldn't
like,
hear
oh,
shit,
what?
dude.
I literally said a few other things.
No, we got you now, though, dude. You're good. So Rick was asking about
You there?
like when you
Oh,
get
boy.
somebody just.
I can't hear anything Rex is saying.
All right, Chris, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes,
If
I
you
can hear
can't-
you, Rick.
All right,
I can
so
hear
here's
you,
a
Rick.
question. All right, here's a question then. We were Gabe answered this question. Now I'd like yours. So you go into this environment that you rely on for your livelihood. You're a good guy with good intentions. You're conducting yourself like a gentleman, and then somebody that can hurt your livelihood, maybe somebody you even look up to, is just a complete hurtful dick to you. What's that like, man? How do you manage that in that environment?
It's difficult, yeah, because like you said, I mean, it comes down to your way of making a living, or your way of putting food on the table, or even your way of taking care of your family if you have a family. And you know, I had a lot of different situations kind of like that. You had mentioned John Cena. I mean, I don't like to typically just go out and bury anybody, but you know, there were a lot of moments where John Cena kind of took that approach with me, and you know, it was difficult sometimes. You know, we just didn't see, you know, we just didn't click, and we never clicked since day one, even in UPW. You know what I mean? Like I met him on my first run when I was with you, and I think we even started training the same day together. There's just something about like Cena and me that we were always kind of like oil and water. You know, we just didn't mix, and you know, if you put us in a room together, the conversation would go dry in 2 minutes. So that was
Gabe,
kind of it.
imagine that, right, Gabe? All right, Chris.
Mind blowing.
Chris, I got a question for you. Who would win in a real fight, John Cena or Rick Bassman? Dude, I'd beat the fuck out of him. Let's just move on. That's all right. Let's just move on. That's all right.
Let's just move on.
One good nut shot, dude. That's all you need.
Well, yeah, right. Oh God. Hey, John. Hope you're doing well, buddy.
Yeah, I wish you the best.
Yeah, man. Wow. All right. So, guys, I want to jump around a little bit. You guys both had pretty sizable pushes in WWE, and all you have to do is go again, search you guys on the internet, and you can see, like, by and large, people regarded you guys as real stars of the future. And I'm a guy that obviously has a pretty good credential history of knowing what it takes to make it in the industry. And to my eye, knowing not only what you guys look like and your work rate or the work rate you developed as you progressed, and the people you are, to my eye, you guys both had all the makings to be big stars. Do you feel like you got to where, two-part question, did you get to where you wanted to go? And, well, let's answer that one first.
Peace. Go ahead, bud.
Rick, direct your questions at one, either me or Gabe, and then because I'm not hearing any of Gabe's audio, so that way we know who to answer. You know what I mean?
Got it. All right, Chris, so you first. Did you get to where you wanted to go in the industry?
Oh, no, absolutely not. I mean, I know that like in 2005, when I was there, Vince envisioned me as possibly being one of the youngest WWE champions of all time. I was supposed to be an Intercontinental champion. I was supposed to be a tag team champion, but and none of that came to fruition. But Rick, as you know, and Gabe knows, I mean, you learn in the wrestling business never to count your chickens before they hatch. You can never just if somebody tells you something, you can't really put full stock in it until it actually happens.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that I expected out of myself, and I didn't necessarily reach all those goals. But when I reflect back on it again, for me, WWE and having a run there and working with some of the guys I worked with was essentially the dream. So I can still look back on all that stuff and still feel fulfilled in the fact that, most people, not everybody is able to go out there and do exactly what it is they want to do or make it to the big dance or anything like that. So for me, when I look back at it now, when I reflect on it, you got to be thankful. You have to be thankful for things, and you have to have gratitude for things. So I choose to just be, rather than be negative about what I didn't do, I have gratitude for the things I was able to do, and the fact that I did make it there and whatnot.
Good.
Gabe?
Well, I think that's largely a testament to who you are as a person and how you look at that. That's good. Thanks for that answer, Chris, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, Gabe, did you go to where you wanted to go in the business?
No, dude, not even close. And very similar to like what Peace is saying, man. I don't blame anybody. I did back then because that was kind of the trend backstage, and I was new to all this. And again, it's really interesting to hear Masters and what he had to say, because it seems like, since we left, like we've all come a long ways with who we are personally. And I know I've changed a ton. When I was in the moment and I was getting that push, and then all of a sudden it just kind of died off, I blame creative. I was like, dude, what are you guys doing? Like, you caught anything for me? Like, what's the deal? What am I supposed to do? What does Vince want? And there was just nothing. I was backburnered. And then I got demoted to NXT after that because I couldn't figure out what to do with me. And I was just, I was bitter about it. I'm like, I had a big push and nothing happened. I did everything right. At least I thought I did. And what I've come to learn over the years goes back to what I said before, is that we're in control. And looking back on that situation, if I really wanted to push, if I really wanted that to keep going, I would have been banging on Vince's door every day. I would have been the squeaky wheel. I'm like, hey, Vince, I really want this. Show me, teach me. Like, what do I got to do? I'll do anything. And, at one point we started to do that. Masters and we had a stint on Superstars where we were doing matches every week. We were the only ones that actually had continuing matches. It was just like this ongoing rivalry. And I remember I banged on Vince's door once, and I asked him, I said, hey, look, Peace and we want to do this. We're having really good matches. And this show is like the C show, man. I'm like, if it's not going to get this show isn't going to be seen that much, why don't we make it our show? Like, let Chris and I have storylines. We'll come to Raw every week if we need to. We'll do, we'll come to both shows. I'll do both. Like, you tell me what we need to do, we will be there. He's like, okay, cool. Yeah, let's do it. And then nothing happened. But I look back on it, my fault, because I didn't go banging on his door and like, hey, Vince, what'd you think of that idea last week? Like, can I do something different? Or just it's about trying and failing and trying something new. And my thing was, I would try and I would fail, or I would get told no, or it would just fail, it would drop off and I'd be quiet. And so quick answer is no. I don't think I ever reached my full potential. But again, I don't blame anybody but myself. I'm different now, and I would have handled it totally differently. But hindsight's always 20/20. And
always.
I'm grateful for the experience. It really made me who I am. It gave me all my public speaking ability. It allowed me to not be nervous in front of large crowds. And it allowed me all these experiences that when you look at them and you're in the moment, they're terrible. It's an awful thing to go through, but you grow and you learn from it, and you progress and you become stronger.
Wow. I love both your perspective on it. And you know what? You guys are both so genuine. That's what's great, because anybody watching this right now, I think you guys have a lot of fans. I know you have a lot of fans out there. I'm getting all kinds of cool notes while we're on the line here. I think you probably just made more fans. I love how you guys. No, seriously, I mean that. I mean, look, you have much bigger forums than the one I'm offering here, and I know you guys do a lot of things, but you're talking from the heart, and that's apparent. So that said, let's stay on some personal stuff, man, for a while. I know that both you guys, and I know you won't mind me saying this, or I don't believe you will. You both have had your share of personal challenges over the past few years.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a minute. And I'm one to talk. I don't know if you saw the last post that I put up when I did it was like a last minute promotion for today's show, and I found old photos. One of me and Chris and the Miz. We were in a bar somewhere in the South Bay, and we all look pretty hammered. Yours truly, especially. And then there's a photo I took, Gabe. So you and I backstage. I don't know where it was, but Bret Hart is behind us.
Oh, I didn't even see that. Is that on your page?
I just put it up a while ago. Yeah.
Oh man.
And you look at.
I'm gonna pop up there while we're talking. I gotta see that, man. That's mind blowing.
Okay, watch it, man. I have a really, really nice suit on, and then in my eyes, you can see like 800 milligrams of Norco just manifesting itself in my eyes.
Obliterated.
Oh my God! Wow. Yeah, it's pretty apparent.
Those were the days.
Those were the days. So, how's everyone doing these days in that regard, Chris? How are you doing, man? How's your health and everything?
Oh yeah, I mean, I dealt with that same thing that you just spoke about. Health-wise, I'm fine nowadays. I mean, no demons as far as that goes. Like a lot of people like when you're mentioning that, I think a lot of people might remember that I had a wellness policy suspension and I had to go to rehab. A lot of people thought that that was for steroids, but it wasn't for steroids. It was actually for painkillers. I got hooked on painkillers and I had to get myself clean from that. I've been clean off that for a long time, and yeah, man, I don't know. I'm just getting older now, like being 37. I know. That's not the 65 that you are now, Rick, but just trying to stay healthy, man. You know what I mean? I still got some bad habits. I still dip tobacco, which isn't necessarily the greatest thing for your health, but not messing with pills or any kind of PEDs or muscle enhancers or anything like that nowadays. So I'm sure my insides are thanking me for that.
I'll bet. And do you drink at all?
I did do some drinking. Right now at this point in my life, I'm doing the least amount of drinking I ever have, and it's not because I'm trying to make it a point to do it. I don't like the way my body feels on alcohol. After I drink, I really feel it the next day. I feel like I poison my body a bit. Like, for me personally, I feel a lot better smoking a doobie or a little bit of weed. For me, that is the extent of my vice. You know what I mean? And the only reason I say I like that is because, after you have some cannabis, you don't necessarily feel it like you feel it like with alcohol. You don't feel like you've poisoned yourself. Once you've sobered up, it's out of your system and you're good to go.
So the demons have been tamed. Good to hear, man. Yeah, it's been just 3 years for me now off those little devils, and it's nice to have them in the rear view, isn't it? For sure, no doubt about it.
Oh yeah, man. I just can't believe how much of my life was and money was spent on that habit. You know what I mean? Like that
I
thing
do.
can really spiral out. I mean, it's a terrible thing, and a lot of wrestlers have gone through it. I mean, we've seen so many wrestlers pass away, and then I got into the business and I started seeing a lot of my friends pass away, being that Umaga, Test, Lance Cade, and these are all guys that like you just would not expect to die. Like Lance Cade, I always go back to Lance Cade, and Lance Cade was one of the most shocking for me because he just still felt like, even though he had a kid and a wife and all that, he felt like a kid to me. You know what I mean? Like, much like I'm sure people looked at me, and to know that he exited this world at such an early stage is just, it's hard to swallow.
Yeah.
I all I can say is, yeah, I know that feeling. Too many.
No.
Gabe, how are you doing, man? How's the heart?
I mean, I got a super scar to show, dude.
Oh, my goodness.
Heart's good though. Sorry, man. Texas, dude. We moved to Texas, and my allergies are just like out of control. So yeah, the heart thing, dude, for anybody that doesn't know, I had open heart surgery July 8th last year. I had an aortic aneurysm, which is a genetic defect. So they literally had to crack me open. You think of it like a water balloon. So it's like blowing up bigger and bigger and bigger until it's going to burst. And Jack Ritter, Three's company, he died from that. That was, pretty famous guy. And that's kind of what made it pretty well known. But yeah, dude, they cracked me open. They cut out a portion of my ascending aorta and they put a graft material in there. Basically saved my life. I could have died at any moment. It was that bad. So, but that was last July, and I made probably the fastest recovery they'd ever seen. I was out of the hospital on the 5th day, and I was back in the gym. I started lifting weights at home a little early before I should have. But I was doing my walks and everything, and by July, August, September, October, end of October, like Halloween, I was cleared to go back to the gym full time, and I had already kind of started at home, so that was giving me a little bit of an edge, and then I hit it hard, like as fast as I could. But it's been interesting, man. I expected there to be some pain, but I didn't expect the complete and utter exhaustion that comes post heart surgery. So your heart, it's got to remodel. All the electrical system's been cut and everything. And so I would sit up and I was like, oh my God, dude. I'd stand up. I get super dizzy. My heart would be like, bum, 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 bum. So it was just like baby steps, baby steps, baby steps. And to be honest, man, it's only in the last, I think, 3 months that I don't really have any more heart palpitations, and everything's pretty much back to normal. So health is good, man. But on the opposite note of Chris, like I'm actually drinking more than I ever had in my whole life.
All right, fair enough, man. What do you
chill, man?
Well, I think you offended the masterpiece.
He just left. He's like, I'm out of here, dude.
Rick,
Yeah.
I can't hear anything he's saying. So you have to tell me what he's saying essentially.
What a bummer.
Oh, you didn't hear what Gabe said about you over that past 5 minutes?
I can't hear anything Gabe says. I hear.
Oh, dude. You know what? I don't want to cause any problems on this interview. So for what Gabe said about you the past 5 minutes, I would just go listen to that later. I don't want to get into that.
Instigator, aren't you?
Right, totally.
Exactly. So what's yeah, I don't want to keep you guys too long. I know it's later, much later, both your times, and we're at about an hour. But what's like really exciting? Gabe, you first. What's really exciting in your life right now? What's the big goal also, or goals?
Yeah, man. Exciting is always Body Spartan. You know, that's my company. I started in 2013 after my brother died, and it was all about helping people. And so it's grown. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah, a couple times I almost lost the company, just bad decisions. But, going through the whole trying to build a business thing, and we're back on our feet, man. We're not making millions, but we have a pretty nationally known company, and we're well respected in the fitness industry. So that's always big and exciting. The goal with Body Spartan is to really just build it to where it's a household name. And so we've got our app coming out really soon. We tried to launch a new website today, but that failed miserably. The developers made a couple errors, so we went back to the original site, and but hopefully that'll be resolved pretty soon. So,
and what is the URL, please?
It's bodyspartan.com. So we do online fitness programs. Basically, once a quarter, I get guys like Brian Cage and a couple of other brand ambassadors. Actually, Cage is, let's see, that wall, right there. Cage is on my wall back there. Boom. So he's one of my brand ambassadors. We do programs like in gym stuff where basically we go through and we walk you through a 12-week program, and we just full instructional videos, custom nutrition, the whole 9 yards. So it's awesome, man. So that's the business side of it, and that's the big goal. But my big passion, as you know, you saw the bikes, dude. I got into racing motorcycles. And it's not motocross, it's not dirt, it's road racing. Like it's on big tracks. And so we've got speeds, in excess of 160, 170 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour with your head, a couple inches from the ground. And it's cool, man. So we got a bunch of sponsors this year, and we're out in Texas. I've never ridden any of these tracks. My first day back out practicing when things just opened up will be Memorial Day. So I get to try a brand new track that I've never been on before, and make a fool of myself out there and get passed by a bunch of fast guys. So, but that's my big exciting thing, dude. Like I've always wanted to do it, and I realized I was getting old a couple years ago. I'm like, yeah, better do it now, or it's never going to happen.
Good, man. Well, you're as they say, following your passion, and that's a beautiful thing. And I've always respected what you and Priscilla created with Body Spartan. I think there's a lot of value in what you guys do, and very, very happy that you're not only hanging in there, but have turned the corner back toward your success. And again, everybody, www.bodyspartan, SPARTAN, for those who are spelling challenged like myself, bodyspartan.com. Good, Gabe. I'm glad to hear you. And of course, your lovely family.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, please tell the ladies I said hello if you would.
I will. Mia should be asleep, or else I'd have her come in and wave, but I'm sure she's fast asleep by now.
Yes. Well, I miss her. Please give her my best.
I will. Totally, buddy.
Masterpiece. What's exciting in life these days, and what's the next big goal or goals that you have your sights on?
Well, first of all, I just want to say I'm a little bummed out that I haven't been able to hear anything Gabe has said, because we haven't had to talk in years. And I wanted to hear about his surgery and all that. So I'm going to have to watch this back. I'm sorry, Dave. Let's catch
That's
up
okay,
soon,
bud.
brother. Like, it's heartbreaking.
No, Chris, trust me. If you heard what he said, you would not talk to him for a few more years. So
come on.
It's cool. You're all right.
Word. Master lock.
Right. There you go.
But in terms of and also, I just wanted to tell Gabe, I also tell Priscilla, I said hi. I haven't seen her in ages either, so it's nice to reunite with you guys. In terms of me, so Rick, kind of as you know, I was living in Canada. I met a fine woman up there, and I lived up there for 3 years. I just got back to Los Angeles about 8 months ago. And for me, it's just about like there's a lot of things I didn't do because I was so in the pursuit of the pro wrestling dream. For instance, just to start, is I didn't finish school. I didn't even finish high school. And, that might be surprising to some people, but I think you might have known. But so I started working on going to adult school and getting my GED. Unfortunately, classes have been closed because of the pandemic, so it's kind of slowed that down a bit. But outside of that, man, kind of as you know too, Rick, I mean, I've been seeking out representation out here to do commercial work, acting work, just any kind of work like that, whatever it might be. And also, I'm still obviously doing professional wrestling, but even though there isn't any professional wrestling at the moment, but like last month alone, I was supposed to be going to Australia. I was supposed to go to Singapore. I was supposed to go to Florida, and there was a lot of stuff scheduled. So, I'm dabbling in a few different things, but I think the kind of ultimate thing I'm looking to do kind of long term is I would really like to get into broadcasting, which is why I started going through school again. I'd like to get into either political broadcasting or sports broadcasting, specifically, basketball or, I could do baseball, I guess, either, or anything kind of along that lines. I guess I could do wrestling as well, too, if I don't think about that very often, doing wrestling broadcasting, but that's something that would interest me. But yeah, those are kind of the things I'm looking at now.
Awesome. Good. It's good. It's good to see you. I mean, you both look good. Both look really healthy.
Thanks,
and that's, usually I bury you guys. So that was pretty.
I know. I'm like, where it's got to be right around.
What's coming, right? So that was a big sincere call. Oh, you guys seem like you're doing really well. And it's always nice when you catch up with old friends, especially from our industry, because as we know, it can kind of spit people out in all the wrong way. And it seems like you guys are doing really good. And I know you are. And it's nice to see that. I don't want to finish up just yet. Going to change directions just maybe one or two more times quickly. As I mentioned, my producer is on the line. It's John Pozorowski from the Two Man Power Trip. And John's not only my producer, he's the host of Two Man Power Trip, which is one of the top podcasts in the pro wrestling world. So he also told me John's interviewed like everybody. And then when we booked this show, he's like, wow, that's so bizarre. I've never had either guy on before. So, and John knows about 10 times more about pro wrestling than I have ever known and ever will know. So
is that even possible?
It is. I'm telling you, you'd be blown away. He constantly astounds me. So while I've got both you guys on and John is here, John, do you have any questions for Chris and for Gabe? What did I miss?
Well, I was just kind of curious about, you kind of skipped over some of the Cena stuff and, the Burning Hammer and the Master Lock Challenge and all that other stuff. Well, why are you skipping over John Cena all of a sudden, Rick?
No, I asked if you had questions for them. Not
I couldn't hear you. You have to tell me if you asked something.
The Masters couldn't hear anything, so.
All right. So, Chris, John was asking why we skipped over the John Cena stuff, at which point Gabe and I said, oh, man. Look, I didn't even realize till today that Chris also, I don't want to say issues, maybe that's too strong a word, but that, Chris had some feelings about Mr. Cena as well. And I don't know, John, I can only speak for myself, but I just get kind of tired of it, man. There's, there's so much positive stuff out there. And I like that this has been like a fun, uplifting, positive conversation today, or at least I think it has.
Yeah.
So I don't know, just not feeling like going the Cena direction. That's the best answer I can give you, man.
Yeah, it kind of stirs up like a lot of negativity with everybody. It shifts the whole atmosphere from, again, probably what I was saying earlier. Like we all learned from it and grew from it, and we can choose who we want to be around now and who we associate with because we're free to do that. But I agree with you, man. It always stirs up negative stuff. And we all kind of everybody's got a little bitterness deep down inside that we thought we're over, but as soon as we bring it up, we're like, oh, that motherfucker.
Yeah, because the truth is, I mean, despite goofing around earlier going, oh yeah, I beat the fuck out of him, which I probably would, by the way. But
so sure that you love it.
But all that stuff aside, it's like, and this is the truth. He does good work for a lot of people. He's a hard worker, and I try to live my life focusing on the positive in everybody right now. And Gabe, it's interesting what you said. We do our practice. We think we've evolved. Hopefully we have evolved to a certain degree. But if we're not all the way there yet, and it still brings up those feelings, why feed into it? That's all. So,
yeah,
John Cena, I wish you the best, man.
Yeah.
All right.
There you go.
I mean, he did ruin Bumblebee, but I mean, anyway, that's just.
Gabe just said, well, Gabe said, but he did ruin Bumblebee. Oh, man. That's awesome. John, anything else while we have the gentleman here?
Well, what about the Midcard Mafia, Gabe? Was that something that you guys just made up on your own? No WB backing whatsoever, and that's why they didn't like it and didn't care for it and wasn't going to get over?
Yeah, so that was interesting. Like, Hawkins and I were trying everything we could to try to get over, and we just had this random idea to do like a South Park style cartoon, and nobody had any animating experience. And Rick kind of alluded earlier, I'm kind of like a closet geek. I was into like websites and programming stuff. And I'm like, I can figure out some cheap animation program. And it was really cheap and it was really bad. It was like South Park when it first came out. And we had Tyson Kidd and Drew McIntyre in on it with us. And we had some beef with some guys, and we just decided to kind of air it out in cartoon format. Nobody ever done anything like this. You got to remember that, this was the time when YouTube was just kind of catching on. Like Ryder was out there doing YouTube. And we were all worried. Like he was worried he was going to get fired any week for doing it. And everybody's like, "Oh, YouTube, it's bad. The internet's bad. There's marks on the internet. You shouldn't do that." And so we kind of we met with the same opposition, and we had so much heat after like the first episode, dude. I remember we walked backstage, and because we bagged on Titus O'Neil, and it was funny. We did him as like Jabba the Hutt, and when I was animating it, we were like, well, it's Titus, so we got to make him kind of dark so people would recognize it. And so it kind of ended up looking like just a big piece of shit is really what it ended up looking like. But that was kind of the rib, we kind of thought he was a piece of shit. And I don't want to talk bad about people, but this is like our feelings at the time. So we thought it was funny, like, oh, this is a great metaphor. It looks like a piece of shit because he is a piece of shit. And so,
Gabe, who was that? I'm sorry.
This is Titus O'Neil.
Oh, Titus. Okay, I don't know Titus. Okay, all right.
No, he just he was a former Gator, and like he came in, and he's still there. But we just didn't like the way he did business, and kind of anyway. So I'm a different person now. And I'm gonna throw that in there. I'm a different person now. But we did that, and I remember like suddenly the race card got dropped because we were in catering like that Raw Monday. And I just remember Mark Henry walking in, and like he couldn't even formulate a sentence. He was so bad. He was like, "This is a fuck," and we're like, "What?" Like TJ was just Tyson Kidd was like, "What did he just say?" And then we went on to make another. We're like, you know what? Screw it. Like I went and apologized to Titus. I went backstage. I was like, "Yo, dude, like I didn't even think about the outcome of this. We were just trying to be funny, and like I'm not racist, dude. Like I obviously me. I'm not. I just." We got beef with you. We just aired it out. And he's like, it's cool, man. And then like speaking, I hate to bring Cena into it, but he came by like moments later and he's like, hey, come here. He like pulls me in the back. He's like, you do something, you don't ever apologize for it. Oh, okay. It was just, we're getting like 20 different opinions from all these top guys. Like Michael Hayes is looking at me like I'm going to get fired. Like he's just kind of giving me the eye roll. And, and I remember Johnny Ace pulls us into the office and he's just going, what the fuck are you guys thinking? And I told him straight out. And this is part of that. There was that time when I just was like, I don't give a fuck anymore. Like I'm probably going to get fired. So I might as well go out with a bang and I'm going to try everything that I could do. And like this was back when you started getting views on YouTube. And if you hit 5,000 and within a certain time, it froze. Like it just froze. So like our counter froze and we ended up with like, I think over 100,000 views in like a day on that video. And I told Johnny, he was like, what the fuck are you guys thinking? Well, dude, you want to know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking this has never been done before. And I'm thinking we went from being nobody to I got people in the audience bringing signs that say Midcard Mafia with our little characters on it. I'm thinking little plush dolls and keychains, Johnny. And he's like, I don't see that. I'm like, well, I do. He just straight up was like, I don't see that. I'm like, okay. He's like, well, just tone it down. I'm like, okay. And so we went and made like 2 more episodes. And on the last episode, we bagged on Hunter a little bit. So we did like, We were just like letting it ride, dude. It was like both of our ideas. We did like a theater thing where we went to the theater and it was showing like The Chaperone, and we called it The Crapperone. And the theater didn't play it because it went straight to DVD, and so we kind of bagged on him. So like the next Raw, he pulls us in. He's like, "Hey, let me talk to you guys." I'm like, "Shit, here it comes." And he goes, "I don't care. You can bag on me all you want, man. Like you guys are having fun. It's cool." He's like, "But I think Mark Henry wants to eat you for lunch right now." So that was kind of the Iggy, and he's like, "I just don't make any more cartoons, you know." We're like, okay. So,
and this is Hunter.
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't remember if it was Hunter that said don't make any more cartoons. I think he had said, I think it might have been Johnny, but he was basically like, be cool about it, guys. Like you're pissing off the wrong people. You know, you can bag on me all you want, but you're kind of pissing off the wrong people. And if I remember right, I think Johnny pulled us into the office right after that, and he was like, no more cartoons. I think that's how it went. He's like, no more cartoons. We got kibosh. We were specifically told stop. Which sucked because it was catching on so fast, and we were getting over super fast. And he was just like, "Why would you want to be Midcard Mafia? Why not Main Card Mafia?" I'm like, "Because we're not the main event guy. Like we're the mid card, and we're fighting for the little dudes." So anyway, and then the irony in it all is that after I leave, what do? They go and make a Saturday morning cartoon that's super raw, explicit language, just like we had. And who's the star? Cena. I'm like, you guys, give me these. I'm like, thanks for stealing another one of my ideas, guys. So.
Oh, dude, Gabe, it's crazy how that shit happens, isn't it? Chris, did you hear any of that, Chris, or you can't hear Gabe?
Nothing.
Gabe was telling us about the time that what Gabe was telling us. Gabe told us the story of the Midcard Mafia, which is very interesting. I had never heard about that before. Yeah. You know about the Midcard Mafia, Chris, the cartoon that Gabe and his cohorts had made? Ran into some trouble with
It's been. I remember hearing about it. I remember it, but the details are very, very shaky right now to me.
Yeah, he got lucky. Episode 4 was going to be all about him,
and he got some heat from Johnny Ace of all things. Could you imagine that? Did you ever get any heat from Johnny Ace, Chris?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, my first OVW television, I decided not to go because my name wasn't on the sheet. So. Yeah, I remember John Laurinaitis calling me at the Suburban Lodge, basically screaming at me, him and Danny Davis, like cursing and screaming, "What the hell? Why aren't you here? You're supposed to be here." And it was probably one of the scarier moments of my career, especially being so early in the business. I thought I was going to get myself fired my first week at work. I'm sure you even heard about that, I'm sure.
Can you give us an imitation of Johnny Ace yelling at Chris Masters as Johnny Ace?
Oh, me? No, I can't do it, Johnny.
You can't do Johnny?
I don't know.
Gabe,
I can't do Johnny at all.
Masterpiece, what the fuck are you thinking? Where you been? You think you're a main eventer? You can stay home? You don't have to come to the show? Is that what you think? What, are you a producer now?
Dude, that was pretty good. You just swallow a little more gravel next time. But,
all right.
But you're there. You're halfway there for sure. Chris. All right. Favorite people that you ever met through your time at WWE? Who's just real quickly, top 3, 4, or 5? Who are they?
I'd say Carlito, because he's just one of my best buddies. I still talk to him to this day. And a lot of wrestling shows with him. Shawn Michaels, just because he was like my idol growing up, and then he turned into like a mentor when I was up at WWE, and he was just, it was just a great experience working with him. And for a third, that's tough. I mean, Mike Chioda is somebody that kind of stands out to me because Mike Chioda was always the life of the party. He always brought energy. He was always positive. He was always doing something. And he was just very infectious. I always looked at Mike Chioda and I was like, when I get to be his age, no insult, but when I get to be his age, I want to be like Mike Chioda because he was just always such a positive and uplifting guy and just always a pleasure to be around. So those 3 kind of stand out. But that's just off the top of my head because, I mean, there were a lot of great people like Gabe and Drew McIntyre and a lot of guys that I really liked a lot. Matt Sydal. I mean, too long of a list to narrow down, you know what I mean, to 3. But there's a lot of great people, and then a lot of not so great people too, obviously.
Yeah. I wasn't even going to ask that one. I thought about it, but I like the positive role we're on here. I have in my book, I have a section called "The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly of Pro Wrestling," and I have lists. I have the good list and I have the bad list. And I remember a couple of years ago, Dallas Page was reading my book, and he goes, "Dude, get rid of the bad list. You don't need that out there." he's like, not even the politics. He goes, "You might sell a couple extra books, He goes, "But is that how you want to live your life?" I'm like, "Good point, Paige." And it sounds like today's conversation we're kind of all there. So, Gabe, who do you hate? No, really. Who? Gabe, I know you formed a lot of like probably lifelong friendships from the industry. Who are some of your favorite people?
What's interesting is that, most people, when they get asked that question, you're instantly going to think of like top guys. And I really wasn't a fan of I think part of it's because I wasn't raised being a wrestling fan. I was brought in, like we talked about earlier, just because I was marketable and it was an opportunity. And so I had to learn. So, I watched wrestling when I was a kid, of course, but I had to learn, and I had to learn who the new guys were, who the people were. And I'm like, okay, well, there's Mark Henry. Who's he? Okay, cool. I got to figure out who this guy is. And like, it just wasn't a big deal, to meet those top guys. So I can't really say like I was so excited to meet this and I forged this kind of friendship with the top guys, because I didn't. Like my lifelong friends are guys like Masters, Hawkins for sure, man. Like I would not have had the experience I had at WWE without Hawkins. Ryder was super cool. Guys that I was in FCW with, like Fandango, which is Johnny Curtis, Greg Marshulo, who was Trent Beretta, Croft, those, the TJ Wilson, like those are like my lifelong friends, man. Like we still text on birthdays. Heath Slater, and I'm gonna forget people, and I don't want them to be offended, but like, those are the guys that I was in training with. Like we all struggled together. We clawed to get to the top together. We never screwed each other. Eric Escobar, like we still text. Brian Cage, like, dude, now Brian and I work together. Like he's, I try to help him as much as possible. And he tries to help me as much as possible. And we got a great business relationship. But dude, anytime we're close by, he'd come spend the night at my place. Like if he's on a loop, I'm like, dude, come hang out. Let's do it. Let's do something. So, there's just a lot of people like that I came up with that we still just kind of, generally keep in touch. And they're like family, man. It's hard to, one of the things too, like when I left, it was really hard because I was leaving my second family. And so you'll never really get over that. I don't want to sound like a baby, but no, like I miss my boys, like the Usos, dude, just like all those guys we came up with, dude. And it's just, and it's cool to see them, doing well too. Kind of side.
Yeah, and it's nice to have those relationships, and I know what you mean. Like when you go away, it's a little sad. We started a UPW reunion group recently on Zoom.
I saw that.
I think I sent both you guys invitations, and we had our first video call not long ago, and it was.
I think I lost it in the mail.
Well, I'll send it to you again. Tom Howard was on it, and Luther Reigns.
No way.
Nova was on it, and it was just it's just cool, I found even though I had the bad people on my list, and I found that by and large in this industry, and I dare say mixed martial arts is similar as well, because they're such bizarre, intense businesses where quite literally your life is on the line in the hands of your friends at times, and you live in a world that's pretty much insulated and isolated. You form these really intense relationships. And, my experience for the most part, especially the people that made it in the business, you've got to be a pretty darn evolved human being to get to any kind of level and survive as a mixed martial artist or pro wrestler. And, you could go in the smaller shows and maybe find a lot of people with attitude or backstabbing behavior. And I know it exists on the larger level too. But by and large, man, it's a business peopled by really good persons, I think. So it offers an opportunity to form some real relationships. That's my theory.
If I don't mention Rick Lawn too, he'll call me and be like, "Why don't you mention the game?" So, yeah, Rick Lawn, still lifelong friend, still
Rick Lawn Stevens, Ezekiel,
hits, dude. Ezekiel Jackson.
He's a good dude. You and Big Rick and George Murdoch. Were the last 3 guys ever out of UPW to move on up before we folded.
That's so cool.
So I'll always think of you guys together in that regard.
It's really cool to have been a part of that too, man. Like it's legendary. Yeah, I'm shocked that WWE hasn't done a thing on UBW yet. Like, but I'm not shocked.
You never know, man. It's not over till it's over, right? We got John. Do you have anything else for Gabe and Chris while we're here?
No, I think pretty good. Covered it pretty well, I think.
Cool.
Bad guys, despite all the technological challenges, I so appreciate you both taking the time and sticking it out.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And very glad, despite all the ribbing and the fact that I'm always giving you both a hard time. I love you both, and I appreciate you.
Yes.
And thank you guys for being on today.
Thanks for having us, man.
See you both
thanks,
soon.
Rick. I'm sorry that I couldn't hear Gabe. Sorry about that. We'll have to do it again.
Yeah, man.
Definitely,
Or you can just
I would
call
love
me,
to.
like or text like a normal human being. But I know you can't hear me and you have no idea what I'm saying. But just here's a big fuck you.
I'll pass a message on for you. Guys, take care.
All right, guys. Later.
Thank you. Bye-bye. John, you there?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, that was our second edition of Three-Way Dance. We had some technical issues, man. That's unfortunate, but those things will happen, right? I think we got through it. Impressions? You didn't know Chris or Gabe before this, did you?
No, shockingly, in all the interviews I've done, never interviewed those two guys, which is pretty surprising to me. But it's great to get on here for Three-Way Dance.
Any impressions? Any takeaways from today's conversation?
Yeah, much more positive than I thought they were going to be. I thought they might be burying some people and maybe not bitter, but maybe be a little bit negative. But no, very, very positive. Very good guys. Didn't really want to talk about the negative. I was a little bit surprised by that. Sometimes, whether you get screwed or whatever released or whatever happened, you figure maybe the person liked to harp on it, but they're kind of rather harp on the positive, and that's a great thing to see.
Yeah, I agree. And probably if I had tried or if I wanted to, I probably could have pushed them for that kind of stuff. But you know what? A big part of why I still love pro wrestling and I'm so glad it's because I have friends from all the years invested, because these friends are good people. And Chris and Gabe are two of them for sure. I mean, yeah, we could push each other to tell bad stories or negative stuff, but they're very genuine guys. And I think that came across as what I believe I'm hearing you say.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. They came off very good, very positive, very well-adjusted, obviously doing their own thing now, kind of separate from the wrestling business, but they're obviously still both in great shape too, which is, a testament to them as well, staying physically and mentally in shape. Yeah,
they've both gone in a good direction. Their lives are progressing. They're both achieving success by some very serious measures, and it's a damn sight better than the opposite, because we've all seen that too. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I'm happy for them. And John, thank you for hosting / producing again. Much appreciated. We are currently working on our guests for next week, and it looks like it's going to be a combination of 2 of 3 people, 2 of who we spoke about today's conversation, Tom Howard and Nova, with the third wild card being Sting. So maybe it'll be all 3 of them. Maybe it'll be a 4-way dance, now that we know StreamYard theoretically can handle that, but we'll find out. So John, signing off for Rick Bassman, Talking Tough, John Pozorowski, the 2-man power trip. Also for our sponsor, Botanics, Rick Bassman for Talking Tough. See you all soon.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Support us on patreon.com for $1.99 a month to watch our full shoot interviews ad-free and help our channel grow. Follow us on Twitter at the Hannibal TV for instant updates.